Welcome, everybody. It is another episode of Remodelers on the Rise. And I have Michael Anschel with me. Michael, what are you going to be doing in September of 2023?
Oh man, September 2023. I think I'm going to be working with you here in Minneapolis, Minnesota on our first live
Oh my.
in-person Costa project execution training event.
Training events and boy, you nailed that. So, folks, that's kind of what today's episode is a little bit about. It's about hope, cost of project execution. Some of you are going, "Hey, I've heard about that, and it kind of looked interesting." Some of you are going, "Oh yeah, I heard about that. I've been studying it, and I've been working to implement it." Some of you are going, "I love that COPE thing. I attended Michael and Kyle's course on it in December of 2022, and I've been implementing it." And some of you are going, "Huh? What are you even talking about? Aren't you supposed to just take your cost times 1.64 and there's your selling price, and they don't need to
No.
know more details?" There's probably a smattering of folks out there. And when I think of COPE, number one, I think of Michael Anschel because would you say it's kind of your baby?
It's kind of my baby.
It's kind of your baby.
But
And
now it's become like I feel like there's a community that's raising this baby into, it's a small child.
yes, it is a small child, and you're seeing others implement something that you have kind of created and implemented in your remodeling business for a number of years. And if I were to take a stab at just a quick explanation of it, and then I'm going to have Michael explain it. If I were to explain it, what I would say is there's more than one way to price and sell your remodeling projects. In our industry, the majority of our industry is pricing their projects via a single markup number. We take
Hmm.
all of our costs, we multiply it by our markup, not margin. There's a difference, folks. Multiply by our markup, maybe 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.2 if you're wanting to work really hard, not make any money. And there is our selling price. And that is just something that has been trained in our industry for a couple decades. And in this day and age, some may call a little bit more modern pricing approach, we have homeowners and we have clients who are a little more sophisticated, who, with the advent of the interwebs, are able to see pricing a little bit differently, the build.coms, etc. And there is a tension that exists when we are putting our price and our details and our scope of work in front of clients and are kind of trying to protect against them knowing exactly what our markup is, trying to protect against them knowing kind of what our costs are. And what COPE does, it is a totally different way of pricing your remodeling projects. That the way I explain it, it really aligns you and the client on the same side of the table. This is
Hmm.
what it looks like. You can, if you choose, be more transparent in your pricing. And it's just a totally different way of structuring and pricing your remodeling work. So that's my first little parlay into it. Michael, if you were to kind of give a little COPE overview or a little bit of why it works, share that, and then we'll unpack a few things, and we'll also tell them more about this event that we're both looking forward to.
I mean, I think you kind of nailed it there, Kyle, right?
Hmm.
It puts you on the same side of the table as a client. You're never going to worry that left a binder or something, and the client's going to open up and see a subcontractor's pricing. If there's escalation on materials, it's a really easy way to have that conversation with the client. Um, the couple other things that I think that it does really well is it tells the story of the value of your role
Hmm.
to the client, right? Because we have a lot of folks who think I could just do that myself. Like, why am I hiring you, right? But when you bring into the estimate the ordering of materials, the loading in of materials, the quality assurance, the going through the job site and looking for flaws and making sure they're right, the documentation, uh, the scheduling of subs, the inspection of your subcontractors, the client meetings, all of these things, which are the things that we actually do, are better represented as actual lines in our estimate than kind of big messy globule
Hmm.
kind of number. Um, and the other things I think that it does really well is it helps you really understand your overhead, because it pulls it out, right? And lets you see that's my overhead on this project. That's how much I'm assigning to this job that takes 8 weeks. And because profit is now decoupled from everything else in the estimate, you have a really clear picture of what your profit could be on the job. It's not commingled with any of your items in the job. If things in the job change, if the client changes materials and they want something that costs less, or they want to make the project cost less, so they take out some cabinetry, your profit margin isn't impacted. That's huge. And I think that I don't know, I'm probably missing something, but the one I think of is it's a pretty radical thing for us to think about decoupling our ability to be profitable and to cover our overhead from the cost of stuff. Right? I mean, the cost of stuff is the cost of stuff. That stuff shouldn't dictate whether or not I'm making my overhead or whether or not I'm profitable, right? I have a certain amount of time in the year I can work, but I think it's 144 days of actual work time that we get.
Is that it?
I think so. If you look at weekends and vacations, and you're a little conservative and you figure I have maybe 11 months instead of 12 months to get it done. I mean, it really makes you value the days differently.
So let me unpack a couple things you mentioned there. So right now with a single number multiplier, we are covering all of our overhead expenses, rents, insurance, vehicles, marketing, coaching. Everybody should have a coaching line item.
They should.
That markup is covering all of that. It's also covering our net profit, and it's also covering this mysterious thing that we're shining light on, which is the cost of project execution. All of your project management, all of your work that goes into making the project happen. Right now, all of that is tied together and needs to be covered in the markup. Sonny boy, I'm on a live show right now. Well, everybody, it's time for the kids to be home from school. He was actually just securing his PS4 because it's 12:09 on a Tuesday and we're not in school. So rock and roll. So all of that is tied in there. What this is doing, the things you were just mentioning, have you, remodeler, ever thought about how many hours you spend ordering materials, scheduling deliveries, and doing the inspections on a project? You are doing a kitchen project. It is a $100,000 total revenue kitchen project. How many hours are you actually spending executing the material ordering, scheduling, inspections? Most all remodelers haven't even thought about it. It's just covered in what we do. No. What about conducting the permit application, the zoning review? What about in your trade-specific inspections? All those things you were mentioning. What about the accounting related to the project? The client meetings, the punch list, doing the scheduling work. There's all of these different line items that we call cost of project execution line items. So if you think about decoupling, that's your favorite word. I don't use it very much, but I think I'm going to. It makes good sense. If you think about decoupling what all of this stuff that is in your single markup number and adding 12 different line items that have cost of project execution. Hey, Mr. and Ms. Homeowner, all of the ordering materials, the scheduling deliveries, the inspection, that costs $1,112. This one costs $2,222. So you have all of those different line items. You have an overhead number, which we need to carefully calculate. And in the course that we did, virtual course, and in the in-person course, we'll be digging into how to calculate that overhead number. And then we have a line item that says profit. I was just talking to Dave Bryson. Hey, Dave, down in DB Bryson down in New Mexico, just by Albuquerque. I don't know how to spell Albuquerque, but I can say it. And Dave he's implemented COPE for the last, it's probably been 9 months now. And when he is presenting his projects, he has all of those different COPE categories. He has his overhead number that's carefully thought out and that's covering him. And then he's got his profit line. And what he says is, it's just been so freeing. The conversation is totally different. If they want to choose, go ahead.
No, freeing. That's
freeing. Yes,
a great way to describe that.
Yep.
Yeah.
If they want to choose a more expensive countertop, it doesn't cost me any more to execute that, and they see the price difference between that choice and that choice. It's just been life-giving and breathtaking for a lot of remodelers who have implemented this. So anything you'd add to that? I think that's given us a little bit of an overview of
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
I mean, the reason that I went down this path, back in the early 2000s, was that shell game process that I think so many contractors are familiar with. When you present your estimate and then the client wants to make changes to scope, or they want to take something out, and that feeling of, oh snap, I'm losing money in this moment, or the client wants to understand something, and I'm like trying to skirt around how do I talk about what that one item costs because I have markup attached to it, and that freeingness, right? That we could just have an open conversation about it now.
Yeah.
And it really moved us into that role, I think you said at the beginning, of sitting on the same side of the table, being an advocate for our client. We really get to say we are advocates of our clients to the industry, and we will help them create this cool project that they want. It's completely customized, right? It's not like you're going to a restaurant and ordering from the menu of a thing that's already been developed at a price, right? We're deciding what to build this burger out of, and what it's going to look like, and to do that and let them feel engaged, informed, empowered in that process. It feels good.
Game changing. Good.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've approached this over the last several years, as Michael's been presenting this to me early on, I'm like, I don't really like it, Michael.
You were a skeptic at the beginning.
I was a very solid skeptic, and also I've softened you to say, Michael, now stop piling on people that are doing it a different way, because it's been very successful for a lot of people that I know personally, and they have boats and stuff. Even they've been able to buy boats and fancy fishing gear and all kinds of things because they've been successful with single markup. So I've trained you, I've also trained myself, and I've trained others of folks. It's 2023 and things are changing. Our industry continues to tweak and change. You need to have an open mind and at least understand what this approach looks like, so that you might wholesale change the way you're doing it, like a lot of remodelers are doing, or even tweak and think differently about the way that you're doing it. You might not be ready for something like this right now, but it's intriguing enough and it's fresh enough and it's different enough that you may want to dig in and learn more about it. What was interesting when we took about 30 or so remodelers through this in December is, during that time, we ended up digging into some estimating best practices, because you're a good estimator, Michael, and that seems to be a very weak point for a lot of remodelers, because estimating is hard, and people got a lot of good insight into how to properly estimate. We talked about how do we sell this and market this, because this is a differentiator for you in the marketplace. We talked about contracts, billing methods. We ended up capturing a lot of different topics, and that's also what I'm excited about for our in-person event, if I may segue into our in-person event. It is September 6th, 7th, and 8th, 2023. According to the website that you can find called costofprojectexecution.com, at this very moment, we are 85 days, 11 hours, 44 minutes, and 18 seconds away. Holy cow, we better get the swag bags, and we better get the presentations all set.
Presentations are ready to go. They're ready to roll.
But we're gonna print that cool booklet and stuff and all of that. But it's coming up. September will be here before we know it. And what I'm excited about for it is, one, you're going to be immersed for all day Thursday, all day Friday in all things cost of project execution. We're going to leave you with great training, great takeaways. You're going to be implementing it in the lead up to it. We'll give you a little bit of, I don't call it homework, but some action steps to take. And you're going to do a lot of implementing and get some solid clarity on it during those 2 days. But also, what's nice about an in-person event is when you disconnect from your business and you travel to a location around like-minded remodelers, plus a successful remodeler like Michael, plus a coach like myself, it just shakes up your routine. And good things happen when you disconnect and get immersed in that. So on Wednesday evening, you're going to open up your little office there, and we're going to get a little tour of OA Design Build.
We'll have a little soiree at OA headquarters. Have some cocktails, maybe.
So classy, a soiree. I mean, we're
already.
going to have a 2-drink minimum though, because the next morning we're going to be hitting it bright and early. So we're not going to be like closing down OA design build at 2
Oh
a.m.
no, no. Yeah, not minimum, maximum, I think. Yeah.
Yes, because a soiree is it's lovely, but it's also under control. And then Michael, where is this thing being hosted at as far as the 2 days of training?
So Simpson Strong Tie has very generously stepped in to sponsor the event with their training facility, which is just outside of just in the metro area here. So we're gonna have a nice space to work on this. And as you were talking, Kyle, I was thinking about I'm a big skier, right? I like downhill skiing, that's my sport, and I love watching ski videos. But the difference between watching ski videos and reading about skiing and actually skiing is a world of difference.
A little different.
And I think the same thing here. The theory around the cost of project execution is it sounds really good. It feels like, wow, maybe I want to do that, or maybe it's a little scary, right? Whatever. But actually doing it kind of reveals like maybe some clunkiness and some awkwardness at first. And I think what's cool about this event is that you're not going to be doing it on your own.
Yeah.
Right. Folks don't have to be in their office trying to figure it out and getting frustrated. They're going to be with us doing it in real time, practicing. It's like going on the slopes with a ski instructor and learning how to ski and then getting to practice on the actual hill, take a few runs and get better and better.
Those ski instructors must be so patient.
They are so patient.
And are we going to be patient too?
We are not. I'm not a patient. No, yes.
No, yes, we will. We'll be patient as well. We'll be patient. So go ahead.
Maybe just also though, right? There's always stuff to learn, right? So even those people who like, I still like getting instruction for skiing, even though I'm a decent skier, right? And I think that this is the same thing. It's not that it's perfected in one shot, and there's a chance to work on it and improve our skills and learn from each other. The system and method has changed over the years as other people have taken it and used it and have given me feedback. Yeah. And there's been opportunities to improve and change how we think about it in the models. And we've changed it over the course of the last year. So.
Yep. Awesome. So folks, that's just a little overview to get your interest peaked, to wet your whistle a little bit. It's happening in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, Minnesota, in September. And you can get the full details, costofprojectexecution.com. Reach out to myself. Michael, I'm just a business coach. I'm just twiddling my thumbs all the time. I'm not busy at all. Michael's a remodeler, so he's obviously busy. But if you have any questions, you can reach out to either of us. But feel free to reach out to me, and we'll hop on a call or chat. We're going to have a good group together for it. It's going to be enjoyable. And Michael, we've never even seen each other in person, so we also get the treat of getting to. I was going to say shake hands, but we'll be going in for a bro hug.
Definite hugs.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see other remodelers around the country who have been trying this thing on and playing with a little bit. It's going to be fun. We haven't done a lot of in-person stuff over the last few years.
Yes, indeed. So costofprojectexecution.com. We will see you there in September. Thank you, Michael. We'll talk again soon.
All right. See ya.